Is City Park Lake too shallow? It is shallow, but that does not make it impossible to manage. It just makes it challenging to manage. If you look at this whole 54-acre lake, it's between 1 and 4 feet deep. It's just simply not deep enough in most situations. Is it manageable? Yeah, you could manage it, but it does have a difficult construction that's making it prone to grow a lot of aquatic vegetation. So we have 54 acres here. All of it is below 4 feet deep, and so it's always going to be prone to growing a lot of aquatic vegetation that needs management. You just can't ignore it, or it turns into the situation that we have here. The University Lake right adjacent to it, it's essentially the same depth, and it has had problems in the past, but those problems are either seasonally maintained, or they just haven't expressed themselves as fully as what's going on in City Park Lake. Again, just because it's shallow, it does not mean it's impossible to manage. It just means it's challenging to manage it. It's too big. So we have a 54-acre lake there, and that is the responsibility of our park managers to manage this lake. Well, it's too big. We can't afford to do anything about it now. But just across the street, there's a 1.5-acre pond inside the golf course. Well, it's in the same condition as the 54-acre lake just below it, right through a storm drain. They're connected essentially, and nothing has been done to this 1.5-acre lake. If they're going to make this into a park, who's going to manage the park and keep it in good condition? What plan do they have for that after they spend $60 million dredging and making this into a park? What plan do they have for real management to keep it from being full of vegetation and full of litter? Litter is also a huge issue. Once litter is dropped on the ground, it's prone to be washed or blown into the lake. And once it gets into the lake, there's a very small chance it will ever be removed, because it's slimy, it's covered in algae, it has nutrients on it, and it's just plain wet, and it's heavier. People don't generally remove trash once it gets into a pond and lake unless it's contracted. And so this is a trash receptacle there. Not all the trash made it into the receptacle. This is going to blow into the lake. And if there has ever been an effort to remove trash from the lake on a regular basis, I've missed it. So who is responsible for City Park Lake? BREC is responsible for managing City Park Lake and the shoreline and park on Stanford Avenue on University Lake. The city and Public Works own between the street. They take care of the street, obviously, but they own up to the edge of the lake from the street. And then LSU is responsible for University Lake and the other lakes that adjoin the LSU campus in that complex. So what is an appropriate management approach for a lake? Big lake, small lake, big pond, small pond, whether it's shallow or whether it's deep, you might adjust that some. But, you've got to have edge access and boat access to regularly monitor, maintain, and be familiar with the lake, specifically on the edges. You've got to get in a boat. You can't drive by it on Dalrymple, look over the edge of the elephant ears, and feel like you have an idea of anything that's going on in that lake. You need qualified, educated staff to properly identify aquatic plants. You want to be able to recognize those early so that they're a small problem instead of growing into a problem where all you can do is just throw your hands up and say that it's too big of a problem for the budget or too big of a problem to handle with the staff. You need certified aquatic vegetation herbicide applicators on contract or on the staff. This takes years to be skilled at, but it doesn't take years to get the basics down. There's a licensing process, and there are plenty of books to study, and there's just a lot of resources out there. So when you see something that's odd, you can identify it, decide whether it is a good citizen plant, a bad citizen plant, whether it needs to be controlled, how much of a hurry you need to be in, and then determine the best method of control. It may be that grass carp are a good approach to some things, but that's early on. It may be that one herbicide is better than another one, and it may be that mechanical removal is better in other situations. But the big thing is, we have staff that are responsible for this. They need to be properly trained and expand their skill set so that they know what they're doing, or they need to outside contract that, and then recognize and anticipate problems early so that they are not big 54-acre problems. If you proactively manage a pond or a lake, they look good regularly. It's not a look good, look bad, catch up, look good, look bad process. If you manage them regularly, they seldom look bad and they regularly look good. And reactionary management just lets problems progress and remain unsightly until you finally feel the need and the momentum in the community to take some action. So, Ken Rust with Louisiana Pond Management. This is the third and final video, we believe, on what's going on with the condition of City Park Lake in Baton Rouge.